Hey folks, Nicholas Field here, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Tentacle Sync Timecode sync boxes. I've been using these sync boxes in my location sound kit for the last 4 years, going on 5 years now, and I wanted to share my thoughts. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about regarding the Tentacle sync boxes is their size. They're really small, and they're really easy to mount on cameras, and as a result, camera people tend to really like them. I've even had people tell me, oh, you have the really fancy sync boxes. Little do they know, these are the cheapest sync boxes you can buy, basically. But camera people love them because they stay out of their way. And the cool thing about these things is that you can really mount them onto any camera as well. They work really well on DSLR cameras. And I think that that's definitely in their favor. The other thing that I really like about these things is that they have a very good battery life. They last 40 hours, 30 to 40 hours-ish. So you can usually get a couple of production days out of them, which is pretty nice, not having to think about that. They charge with a USB-C. This is a pretty big bonus for me because I could charge one off of my bag if I wanted to, and they charge in 45 minutes. So if you're ever scrambling on your way to a job, you could always charge one on the way and you'd probably be fine. The next thing that I really like about the system is that you can keep one in your bag and you can sync all the rest of them via the app. Sometimes if you're working on a large multicam shoot with 4 cameras, you could have a Tentacle in your bag, and you can jam all the other ones without even taking them off the camera. So at lunchtime, if you want to rejam, you do that from the comfort of your cart or from your bag, wherever you're sitting. You just press the button, sync all from this device, and you're pretty much good to go. I like that because I like to stay away from the cameras as much as I can, and I don't like to take boxes on and off because, those are expensive cameras, and I don't want to be the one that's knocking over a camera at lunchtime trying to take a sync box off of it, right? The next feature of the Tentacle sync system that I really enjoy is the Timebar app. So basically, there's a little app that you can download for free from the Apple Store or from your Google Play Store. It's called Timebar, and this will basically display whatever timecode is running on your Tentacle on your phone, and you can use it to just quickly flash a camera with timecode. So if you're in a scenario where you don't have a timecode slate, for example, or if you're in a run and gun scenario, or I've heard it's really good for VR applications because you can basically just move your phone around in front of several different cameras very quickly, and they all will have an accurate reference for timecode based on that. And people tend to use them a lot on reality shows where there might be cameras set up remotely. So in terms of durability and reliability, I would say that these devices rate quite highly. They're made of a hardened plastic, so they're pretty lightweight, but they're also quite damage proof, I would say. Even if you drop them on the ground, you're not really worrying too much because there's no moving parts involved. They're also really lightweight, so if they fall off of a camera at any point, often they can just dangle by the cable and they won't fall off. And Tentacle thought of this really great way of securing the cable onto the device with a little clamp. So basically, if the box ever falls off the camera for any reason, it's still clamped on via the cable, and I've never had one of these come accidentally unplugged from a camera at any point. So one thing to keep in mind when you're adding timecode boxes to your kit is that the costs are going to stack up really quickly once you start adding in all of the requisite cables that you're going to need to attach these to cameras. So I would encourage you to do some thinking about what system you want, because once you're tied into that ecosystem, it's a pretty big investment in cables. And I'm talking I have 3 timecode boxes right now, and I've probably spent around $1,000 on cables. So you're going to be spending probably as much or more on the cables as you do on the boxes themselves. And just a quick look at the Tentacle Sync website shows you just how expensive one cable can be for a RED camera, for example. Yeah, and I mean, that's just one of those things that's sort of going to happen no matter what ecosystem you choose, whether it's ambient, whether it's Denicky, whether it's a timecode systems or ultrasync. No matter what, you're always going to have to be buying cables for these systems. If you're on a budget and you want to go for a more expensive system with a bit more name recognition, I don't know, ambient or Denicky or something, just keep in mind that that's not the end. Like buying the boxes isn't the end of the investment, and you're just gonna have to keep on buying more stuff. I have a few minor complaints about the Tentacle Sync workflow. The first one is actually more of a feature rather than a bug of the device. It's that it doesn't have any screen, so you can't see what timecode is being generated at a glance. You always have to look at your phone or your tablet. And while phones and tablets have become sort of part of a production environment and part of our toolkit, sometimes it's just nice to be able to look at something and engage with it without using a phone or an intermediary, right? So it's just something to keep in mind when you purchase this, is that you're always going to be somewhat tied to a smartphone or to a tablet, for better or for worse. Now, this generally isn't that big of a deal, but when you look at a Tentacle, you can never tell if it's like 10% charged or 100% charged. There's no battery readout or any sort of indicator of where the battery is at. So in order to even tell if you need to charge the devices, you have to turn them all on and then check them on your phone to reference. To me, it would be really cool if there was like a little LED indicator, even like a 5 LED indicator that showed you, you're at 100%, 80%, 60%. And that way you could quickly and easily tell if you need to charge it or not, instead of pairing it to your phone and checking everything. Again, it's a minor complaint, but it's one of those things that when you use these things a lot, it becomes more important. Another thing that would be cool maybe is like a dock that you could just kind of like stick one of these into, and it would read out all the telemetry information and it would charge them simultaneously. Like imagine having like a 4-bay or a 6-bay dock for a Tentacle, and you could just slide them in, they charge, and they tell you where they're at. And if maybe there'd be some sort of battery health indicator, sort of like the smart batteries that we've been using a lot. If I were to go back in time and make an investment in timecode boxes, would I buy these again? Absolutely. I think the Tentacle boxes offer a great value for the money. They do what they're meant to do in a production environment, and they do it well. I've never been lacking in accurate timecode on any set that I've been on, whether it's a documentary or a large commercial production. And camera operators are always happy to see them when you show up with a little Tentacle to put on their camera. However, it is cool to think about some of the other options that exist before you get tied into the Tentacle ecosystem. And the one that I think is really interesting is the ambient locket system. Basically, the ambient system has a timecode slate and a locket and nano lockets, and they all integrate together using like an ACN network. So from what I understand, it's sort of like a Wi-Fi network where they will talk to each other and they'll update sync wirelessly whenever they're in range with one another, which means that if you put one in your bag, you have like a one-touch sort of timecode master that links with everything else in the timecode ecosystem, and it's just kind of working. And it's particularly cool when you think about having a slate that links up with everything else. That being said, I've heard about rumblings of like a Bluetooth standard that is emerging with companies like Tentacle and also wireless manufacturers that have built-in Bluetooth and timecode capabilities, and trying to figure out ways of syncing Bluetooth wirelessly across several devices. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this field in the next 5 or 10 years. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'm always updating this channel with videos pertaining to production sound and to post-production and creating music and just the things that interest me more generally about audio engineering. Thanks so much for tuning in. Peace.